Hey guys, Razorblade Mango here, and today I'm going to be talking about Ratchet Clank Rift Apart, which of course is the latest game in the long-running Ratchet Clank series, from all the way back in the PlayStation 2 era, developed of course by Insomniac Games, and published of course by PlayStation, i.e. Sony Interactive Entertainment. So, I have to admit, I was rather skeptical going into Rift Apart. I have not been a fan of Insomniac's recent output, and actually, when I really think about it, I did not like a single game that they made during the PS4, Xbox One era. I really disliked Sunset Overdrive. I think that game is pretty bad. I didn't like Ratchet & Clank 2016. I quite infamously did not like Marvel's Spider-Man. And it's only with the recent Miles Morales that I felt like Insomniac have kind of gotten back into my good graces. And I was hoping that they would continue that trend with Rift Apart, but I had some doubts. And it's not visually or anything like that where my doubts are. I had no doubt that Insomniac would deliver a very richly detailed world with colorful characters and beautiful graphics, and the selling point on the near instantaneous load times. I actually believed them because of how fast the load times are on Miles Morales, and that's a cross-gen game. So I could only imagine what they could do with the full capabilities of the PS5. It's the writing and the humor that I was skeptical of with Rift Apart, because I really hated the in-your-face humor of 2016 Ratchet, and all the footage that I saw of Rift Apart wasn't really gelling with me as far as humor and writing. And the big concern that I had too, that's related to that whole thing, is the character of Rivet, where I was worried that they would turn Rivet into kind of a bland, stereotypical yay girl power kind of character, and I really don't vibe with that kind of writing, and I was very nervous about that. But I am pleased to say that I quite liked Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, despite some big problems that I have with the game. Do I love it? No. Do I really like it, like Miles Morales? No. But do I like it and not regret my purchase of it? Yeah, pretty much. I had a good time with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I actually liked Rift Apart a lot more than I expected, so that was nice. Because Rift Apart is basically a PS2 game. And if that sounds like an insult, it's not meant to be. Calling a game these days a PS2 game is like the ultimate compliment coming from me, because I am super duper nostalgic about the PS2 era of games, the way those were designed, how content rich they were, how much fun they were to play without being monetized to hell and back. And the best way I can describe Rift Apart is that this is a PS2 game. Well, it has the soul of a PS2 game, but with the insane graphics and smooth gameplay of a PS5 title. And as far as insane graphics go, this game it looks amazing. It really, Insomniac, I think, have kind of jumped ahead of the curve of really showing off what the PS5 is capable of. And I don't know how much further they can take the PS5 beyond what they've already done with Rift Apart. I think they've really, I mean, we'll have to see with the next Spider-Man and whatever they do beyond that, but I really think they've blown their creative wad as far as visuals when it comes to taking advantage of the PS5, because it looks amazing. There's barely any load times. It really lives up to that selling point. The ray tracing is stunning. It runs at a near flawless 60 frames per second. This really is just a beautiful looking game, and as somebody too who is not that impressed by graphics anymore because so many games are beautiful, Rift Apart really takes the extra step to impress me. And keep in mind, all of this is running without compromise as far as the ray tracing and the performance and the fast load times. Very little compromise. Maybe I should take that back, say very little compromise, because as far as I know, getting this game to run with ray tracing, 60 frames, near load time, it's not 4K, and like I said with Demon's Souls, I don't give a shit if this game is native 4K. As long as I can get my beautiful, buttery smooth 60 frames with ray tracing, with near instantaneous load times, I'll take 1080p, I'll take 1440p, I don't give a shit. I just want this game to play smoothly and look beautifully while I walk around in it without bringing the system to its knees. And Rift Apart does that nearly flawlessly. And the only reason I say nearly flawlessly is because I did have a few crashes. I had a few. And I actually had one instance, weirdly enough, where I was testing how far I could push the system, because I was like skipping cutscenes. On the second playthrough I did, I was skipping cutscenes. I was running around and really pushing it to see what would happen, and it basically crashed the whole PS5. It didn't just crash the game. I literally had to unplug the PS5, plug it back in, and it had to rebuild the database. So there is definitely a limit to what Rift Apart can do as far as the capabilities of the PS5, and I've seen that limit. So I don't believe this thing from PlayStation where it's like, oh, it's play has no limits. Nah, bitch, it has a fucking limit. I've seen the limit. I brought the PS5 to its knees using Rift Apart. It's just, again, this is gonna sound insulting, but the game itself is just very simple, and that's why I liked it so much. It's very simple. It's fun. You just pick it up, you play it. It has a good variety of level design. It's really fun to just walk around the environment, collecting things, tinkering around with the weapons that you have. And then when you start unlocking some of the cool stuff, you get things like cheats. Like most companies these days are like, oh, you want infinite ammo? Oh, you want big head mode? Here you go, bitch, spend $5 on it. Spend it on our microtransaction shop. Rift Apart doesn't play to any of that bullshit. Rift Apart is not monetized at all. It has infinite cheats galore. It has infinite ammo. It's got big head mode. It's got filters. It's got skin swaps. It's got everything. And I know it's so sad that I have to praise Rift Apart for that, for its bevy of endgame cosmetic content, but it really needs to be highlighted that this is the way it should be done, the way Rift Apart does it. And it's such a breath of fresh air to play a game like this, and it's fun. And again, this is not a game that demands you basically turn playing this game into a full-time job. It's a game that you just pick up, you play. When you're done with it, the game is more than fine to say, hey, there's extra content here if you want to partake, but that's totally fine if you want to put it down and never touch it again. It is one of these games that just is fine, letting you play it, have your fun, and be done with it. And I find that so nice, that it's not just this bloated, monetized catastrophe. And the other big surprise with Rift Apart is Rivet herself. Even though I think her appearance in the game is kind of being overblown a little bit, because there have been other female Lombaxes in past entries, but this is the first time, of course, that one is playable. And Rivet is a fantastic new character, voiced by the ever-reliable Jennifer Hale. She is smart, fun to play as, charismatic, funny, likable, just instantly likable. And when she's talking to Ratchet or Clank or whoever, it's just a joy to listen to her talk, to listen to her, do her thing, to be who she is, to go through character development in this game. She's just a great character overall, and I was so relieved that I did not find her annoying or like, yay, I'm quippy, annoying girl kind of character. And I was like, oh, thank God she's not annoying. And I would go so far as to say two things. First thing is, I actually missed playing as Rivet when I went back to playing as Ratchet. Yeah. Like, when I was playing as Ratchet during this game, after I'd been introduced to Rivet, I thought, man, like, Ratchet is cool and all, but I really want to go back to playing as Rivet. I'm not joking. I really liked Rivet that much. And another thing that I will go so far as to say is I would love, absolutely love, a Miles Morales style spinoff of the game with Rivet in the main part. I would pay $50 for that. I'd pay $60 for that. I want Rivet to have her own game, and she is just a great new character to add to the franchise. She's a great new mascot for PlayStation, and I just really liked Rivet. I loved Rivet. I would love to see more of her in the future. I hope future Ratchet and Clank games have Rivet in like starring roles. I'd love that. I know the series is called Ratchet and Clank, but Rivet is my homegirl. I really like Rivet. But the game is not perfect. Like I said, I like this game. I don't love it. I think it is a good, solid overall game. However, it does have its problems. And I think the two Achilles heels that this game has, technically three, I guess, but I'm bundling two of them into one little section. I'm not really big on the story, and I'm not really big on the dialogue. It's all very safe, it's all very bland, and the comedy in particular did not really gel with me. Thankfully it's not obnoxious and in your face like the 2016 game. It doesn't have that kind of humor, but very, very rarely did the jokes actually make me smile or laugh. And I was more laughing and smiling at when it wasn't trying to make me laugh. Just like little things that I noticed, just little delights that I saw, little story beats that it hits, provide, you know, a smile or a laugh. But when it's actually going for comedy, I think it just comes across as really bland and predictable, and but you know what? I can handle bland. I can handle predictable. I can handle safe. I would take that over it being obnoxious and annoying and in your face. And only very rarely does it do that. There's a couple characters that are the stereotypical, hey, I'm the quirky person. Oh, hey, I'm talking. Oh, I'm saying silly things. Oh, aren't you laughing? Oh, you laughing, huh? Ha ha, I'm the quirky character. Ha ha, aren't you laughing yet? It very rarely does that. And when it did, it thankfully didn't last very long. I was grateful when certain characters exited stage left. I was like, get them out of here. I don't want to see them. They're annoying. Get them out. And they're not important characters. Thank God. The other thing that I think kind of holds this game's fun factor back a little bit is the severe lack of enemy variety. I mean, it is really noticeable even in the first few levels of the game, and especially the bosses. There's only maybe a few, like a very, very few amount of unique boss fights, and even then they use recycled moves from other bosses in the game. It just makes going through the game not as fun as it should be when you're encountering the same enemies over and over again that have the same movesets over and over and over again, and you encounter the same bosses over and over and over again that share the same movesets with certain other bosses in the game that even then they repeat way too often, and it's like, oh my god, can we just have a few more enemies than what's here? I'm so tired of seeing the enemies that are either that shoot at you or jump at you. That's really the variety you're gonna get beyond some of the bosses. And even then, the bosses, like, they have this, I feel like a lot of them just have the same laser beam attack. Even the final boss has the same laser beam attack as a bunch of other enemies do in this game. So, in the future, I'd like to see a lot more enemy variety. So, overall, would I recommend Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart? The simple answer is yes. Yes, I would. And if you're like me, as someone who is tired of a lot of the games that the big AAA space is releasing these days, a lot of live service shit, this is another game that just spits in the face of that shit and just is a simple, fun game that has the soul of a PS2 game with the graphics, the looks of a PS5 game. It's just a fun game. It's simple. It's just nice to play. It's pleasant. You sit down after a long day and you unwind by experiencing this colorful world while shooting a bunch of bad guys and finding collectibles. It really doesn't get much simpler than that. It's just a fun game. And Insomniac, I think, even with the problems that Rift Apart has, I think it is an easy recommendation from me. I had a good time with it. I had a better time than I expected, and that's really all I could have asked for. Alright, thank you guys so much. If you like to see, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart if you've played it. And as always, I am Razorblade Mango. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you all later. Bye.